Hello, and yes, I am a little late to this party, but I wanted to digest the new information. While I've seen all the other content creators out there talk about the new Prime Herman commander, as well as finish up my own KvK, so a lot going on. But as you can see on the screen here, I have Herman. Actually, no, this is just Tommy with Herman's face. But we're going to be going over the synergies, and there's no, I guess, coincidence that Tomeris is on the screen. But do I think that that's the best pairing? And do I think that it's going to be usable if you're only going with 2 or 3 Archer Marches? Or what about 1? Do you have 1 Archer March? What's the combo for that? So we're just going to be diving into this new commander, kind of what I think. And do I think he's going to be meta and a good investment going forward? Okay, and before we get into all the talents, pairings, all that good stuff, investment quality, we're just going to do a quick overview of Herman himself. I know that a lot of you probably know what he does already because, like I said earlier, I'm a little late to the punch, but Archer, Versatility, Support, which basically means Archer and Support because Versatility tree is absolutely garbage. Real quick, he's a Poison Commander, so obvious pairing synergy with Tomeris. I think the fact that he does AoE is pretty shocking to me considering the last open field commander we got for Archers was Zhuge Liang. Normally, they don't release 2 AoE commanders back to back. Let's look at Cavalry, for example. You had Nevsky, then you had Joan, then you had Huo, then you had, hopefully the next one's AoE. If we look at Infantry, we had Skippy, then we had Sargon, then we had Liu, right? So they have alternating patterns, and which is why I'm surprised that they released 2 back to back like this. But regardless, this is a 2000 AoE to 3 targets, and they inflict 2 stacks of poison to each target. So that's 6 stacks of poison every single time you use this active skill. And each stack of poison, if you remember from Tommy's kit, is 3% more skill damage. The other 2 skills here are Germania. They have 20% attack, 20% defense, and 50% march speed. That's obviously quite nice. The 50% march speed is better than anything. My Archer Marches are so slow in the field, it kills me. So anyway, I really like that. Alpha Wolf, this commander's troops deal 20% more AoE skill damage when attacking other troops on the map. This is great. This is the first time they've done a specific to AoE skill damage. So obviously this buffs Herman's active skill, but would also buff things like Zhuge Liang's AoE, YSG's AoE, and things like that. They also gain a little debuff, so 20% health defense, or 20% reduction of defense. I don't know why I said health in there. But this needs to be tested, whether or not this is just the 20% defense for Herman's active skill or 20% defense when both active skills go off. I know it says an active skill, but generally in the past, you know, like, what's his name? Freddy? Not Freddy. Banana Helmet. Whenever he sends an active skill, his expertise says he gets a bunch of stats, but in reality, it's only his active skill. So we'll have to go over all this stuff. But like I said, if this works kind of like Banana Helmet does, then probably not going to be as strong as I think it would be. And then it takes a little more damage from Cavs and a little more damage dealt to infantry. The Mandrake Root, great. Another poison application, small AoE effect, 600 damage factor to 3 targets, or 600 damage factor total, 200 to each target, and a little damage reduction from targets who have poison. Fantastic, great skill. And so with this skill, plus the active skill, you're looking at about 12 stacks of poison per rage cycle. And this is where the expertise and Tomeris comes into play. But whenever this commander's troops inflicts 25 stacks of poison on enemy troops, it triggers the Forest of Fallen Eagles effect at level 5. So the reason why they nerfed this commander from originally this being 3 down to 2 was because this active skill, or this expertise that would fire the active skill without Tomeris, would go off every 2 skill cycles. That was too fast, right? Because you had 9 plus 6, which is the Mandrake Root, plus the active skill, and then you did that times 2. So 15 times 2 would actually be 30, which would trigger back, give me back my legions without any support every other skill cycle, which was very, very, very strong. Reminds you a little bit about Herman Prime, which is, again, a very good commander. So the reason why everyone's talking about Tommy is because Tommy brings it back to that every other skill cycle, which obviously makes the commander perform a lot better, also makes the commander fire off its active skill once every 2 rage cycles and apply a really hellish debuff. Is that the best pair for this commander? Well, we're going to go over that in a few seconds once I do some edits and we flip over. Okay, so we have Zhuge Liang on the screen. The reason why Zhuge Liang is on the screen is because even though everyone's talking about Tamaris, Zhuge Liang will still be the best commander pair with Herman. If you're running one Archer March, you basically have to be using Zhuge Liang, and Herman is just better than Boudica. Boudica's great. This debuff is still fantastic, but the truth is that Herman's AoE will just get you much better trades, and you're debuffing AoE targets instead of debuffing one target, which has its pros and cons, but usually this debuff is better for swarming Garrison or whatever, but yeah, Herman is just crazy. Now, I will say, if you have Boudica Zhuge Liang already and you're a low spender, I don't think that you need to invest in Herman. It's not going to be some wild, crazy upgrade. You're still going to get generally good trades because this Archer commander is one of the best commanders in the game, arguably the best open field commander in the game. I mean, 5 target AoE with a 5 target debuff of 50% less damage is wild. Anyway, this commander is crazy. Now, in the situation where you run one, okay, if you're investing from scratch, you're going to invest in Herman, Zhuge Liang, okay? That's your one march. If you have 2 marches and you have Boudica YSG already, which I imagine a lot of you have because it's a pretty common pair, and you have like Zhuge Liang with Nebu or Thutmose or something along those lines, and those are your 2 commanders, and you have Tommy at 0000 or 1111, Tommy's not going to be such a game-changing pairing that you have to go put gold heads into Tommy again. I think that Tommy will be good and will be an ideal pair if you're bringing 2 Archer Marches, but I don't think it's going to be so crazy that you have to invest in her. So again, you could continue with the same thing. You can do like Herman and YSG, and you can do Boudica with Zhuge Liang. So those would be perfectly fine. I think both would trade very well. Now, what I will end up doing, and obviously this depends a little bit on testing, but what I will probably be doing is I will be running my Boudica with Zhuge Liang, and I will do my Herman Prime, bench YSG probably, and end up putting in my Tommy. So, yes, YSG will probably get you better trades than Tommy will in the open field, and even dueling, okay? I'm saying that it will get you better trades as a singular march, but I am a whale, you could say, and I will generally have 5 to 6 to working on my 7th march in the open field. That debuff for me is crazy, crazy strong, and I will end up running it. So that is my suggestion to any other players like me. I think you should run Boudica with Zhuge Liang and the Herman Prime with Tommy as your new pairs. I will say, benching my Nebu that just came into the game feels a little rough because I just kind of put some gold heads into this guy to finish him. Not too many. I did most dailies, but I did use him a lot this KvK, so I guess I did get a little bit of value out of him. I will now be relegating him to support skills only, which is fine. Honestly, getting this support skill on marches is pretty crazy. Getting this on rallies is pretty crazy, right? So it's not the worst. It's not the worst, but I do think that 2 march setup is really good. Now, let's say you have 3 Archer Marches and you are a whale and you're an Archer main. Okay, that's when Nebu comes back into the picture. You can do Zhuge Liang with Nebu, right? So that's your first pair. You can do Boudica with either YSG or Artemisia, and then you do Herman Prime with Tommy, and you are set. Now, what do I like more in that combo, Artemisia or YSG? I like YSG, but people like Artemisia, so do what you will. It kind of just depends on your availability of support skills. So, all that being said, I think this commander is going to be very, very, very strong. I would be surprised if it turns out that Herman's worse than Boudica. I would probably rate him as the 2nd best archer behind Zhuge Liang. I think Zhuge is just way too crazy. And also, I do want to say that this skill with Zhuge Liang actually pairs really well with commanders like Tommy and Herman Prime. So it does say that it doesn't get affected by skill damage buffs, but guess what? The poison is not a buff, it's a debuff. So this skill will actually do more damage, more skill damage to those commanders that you're hitting or targets that you're hitting that have that skill damage taken debuff on them, which is really, really nice. Okay, guys, so that being said, I kind of said everything that I wanted to in regards to this commander. I think it's going to be insanely strong. I will invest in him. I don't know what the other commander is going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be a rally commander that pairs really well with Henry. But one last note, and we're going to actually hop back over to the commander view on YouTube real quick, and I'm going to explain something that might be pretty influential in the future. So, one sec. Alright, so we're back here, and I want you to look at all of these skills and tell me if you find that any are not working in the Garrison. No. It looks like to me that every single one of Herman Prime skills works while in the Garrison. Do you see what I'm getting at? So, basically, I think this commander is going to be a great Garrison. It's got AoE, all of its skills work, it increases AoE damage, it's debuffing, it might be a little susceptible to calves, but all in all, I think this commander will actually be really strong. I could see lower tier KvKs running like Herman Prime with Zhuge Liang just to get the max amount of buffs from this AoE damage. I think that that would really punish the people who are just standing by and don't really know how to position themselves. I think you could end up running Ditto with Herman. I think as far as it goes, like against the rally, it might actually do better than Zhuge Liang. We will see. That's something we have to test. But the fact that all of these skills work in the Garrison is pretty crazy to me. So I'm not calling that it's going to be the Garrison commander. I'm just saying it has potential, and we'll need to test it. So I had to bring that up before I ended the video. Wow, look at all this. Whew. Alright, anyway, we're back. So that is what I wanted to say for this commander. I think he's going to be really strong. I am very happy. I think he will be the second best archer in Rise of Kingdoms, and I am very excited to test him out in game. Just as far as this KvK goes, obviously I did kind of a mock, chill Bard Chain stream on the day that we should have had Kingsland. We didn't really get a fight, but I do have another announcement to make, which I will make in my next video. It might be about migration, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, guys, I do appreciate you guys hanging out, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.